Peep the shirt, y'all. Listen, shout out Jujitsu Guys. I don't know if the mic in the way. Shout out the shirt. It feels amazing. It feels like a blessing to be back. Welcome everybody to the What's on Your Mind podcast. I am your host, Anthony Brinson. Again, we go do it early. Y'all know the bit. Making sure we still recording. And I'm sure we still are. We just hit start. And I really just want to thank you guys again for allowing me to have a platform like this to speak my mind. As usual in life, if it's not one thing, it's another. And things have been going on, but um, I'm pushing through as much as I can. And one of the things that helps me cope or allows me to get through the things I may be going through is having this podcast. I want this podcast to be a platform, as I always say, to not only be a strong voice for the Black community, but just a strong voice for people that don't feel like they're heard. This episode, at least the first few topics, we're gonna talk about some things that are a bit serious, at least to my mind, and I want this platform to always be something that is open for debate, open for conversation, and open for something that is able to talk about the importance of representation. Is one thing, and apologies if that outside audio picks up on the mic. It's one thing when, as people always say, it's one thing when you say one thing, but intention only goes so far. And you could have a certain intent, or you could speak about something a certain way, but if your tonality or with how you handle a conversation, if it's a bit abrasive, or if there are certain inconsistencies with how you speak, then it could come off improper. And especially as a podcast host and someone who's an actual journalist and has a journalism background, I feel like I hold a very polarizing position to where a lot of podcasters use it as an out to say, "Oh, I'm not a journalist, so I don't have a journalism degree. I'm not a journalist," and they use that to sort of structure their opinions in a way that could possibly not have facts behind it, but also in a way to where they're only giving their opinion based on either the thought in their head or a disdain or a like for somebody. And especially with what I'm starting with, I want to handle this conversation in a way where I'm always going to be a very opinionated and honest person, but I want to sort of give a good overview of why I'm going to have the criticism that I have and why I'm also going to have the perspective I have, because a lot of people who went about the topics that I have today have gone about them in ways to which, I mean, especially with the first topic, I agree with the majority, or I agree with the decision that was had. But a lot of people I feel, are just a bit surface level in the criticism, and I don't feel enough actual journalists have talked about this conversation. Shout out people I look up to people like Jamel Hill so much, and people like Mark Lamont Hill. They've both talked about this. And to not bury the lead too much, Mr. Stephen A. Smith. Now, what's crazy, I've actually had one of the only podcast episodes that I've recorded and never uploaded was when Stephen A was going through his stuff with LeBron, and I'll put that in here now. But I want to start off by saying that I grew up a huge fan of Stephen A. Smith, and even still, with the criticisms that I have, he's someone who's a not only a Black millionaire, someone who exudes Black excellence, and listen to my last episode if you want to get the quotations around that. Someone who exudes someone that has been a very successful black man and has attempted to bring other black people with him. And I use the word attempted very strongly as we'll have this conversation, because he's been someone that has opened the door for a lot of other black people behind him. But he's also someone recently who has kind of been in question how much he really is for us. Um, Stephen A. Smith, I feel sometimes gets a lot of unfair criticism sometimes, because even then I heard this the conversation between them actually was pretty civil, but I heard shout out Lil Bill. He talked about this situation, and he referenced how Michael Wilbon and Stephen A. Smith had a back and forth on how Stephen A. Smith probably shouldn't be considered a journalist no more. And I wouldn't go that far, and I personally disagree, because even if Stephen A. Smith doesn't do the traditional form of journalism nowadays, especially in 2026, journalism is so broad and pretty diverse. As somebody who was in the middle of doing a podcast with a journalism background, journalism um, work, someone that's worked in a newsroom, I don't subscribe to the idea that it just has to be the newsroom form to be considered journalism, or Stephen A. Smith has to be doing the traditional out in the field, talking to the players or in the locker rooms. While that is a traditional form of journalism, and that is where Stephen A. Smith comes from, I think he's evolved it in a way to where he can not only have his own form of ownership in his own YouTube channel, but go on ESPN or go on other platforms and showcase that journalism really is allowing that story to be told in a multitude of ways. Stephen A. Smith, for better or for worse, can be a very great storyteller and very great entertainer. And while that is what he's focused on nowadays, I feel that either way, it brings the news in. No matter if he's writing an article or a podcast or doing his own video, Stephen A. Smith brings the news in. Stephen A. Smith brings the traction in. Stephen A. Smith brings the attention in. I'm talking about him. Other Joe Budden talked about him. LA, New York Times, all these articles I did reading, doing research about all this. They talk about him. Stephen A. Smith's in the political field. He's making $100 million for a reason at ESPN, and he probably should be making way more. So I don't feel Stephen A. Smith is somebody that he loses his journalism card because of all of this. I do feel, as of recently, I kind of, if I were to, because I said I was someone that looked up to Stephen A. Smith growing up. I was a huge fan of First Take. Him and Max Kellerman were one of the best duos. They always go back and forth. Stephen A. Smith, whether he was the provocateur and trying to get his emotion out or trying to make a point, I feel Stephen A. Smith's debate style was always very forward, and he always stood his ground. And I think as he's gotten into the political sphere and gotten into this new realm, his main strength has become his biggest weakness and his biggest thing that's gotten him the criticism. Because when it's about basketball, when it's about sports, he has a very, if you're unfamiliar with Stephen A. Smith, he has a very like, I can't believe that you would say some blasphemy. How could you say LeBron is better than Jordan? Stay off the wheat. Like, Stephen A. Smith is a very animated person. So when you take that delivery in the political sphere or the more worldly sense, it could be taken with either a grain of salt if people don't take him seriously, or it could be taken a bit harshly if people aren't used to it. Now, if you combine that, because Stephen A. Smith is an animator all the time, he knows how to control that and articulate his message. When you combine that with the word choice, with a very confident and bold word choice of a very, how would I describe it, for certain, or like I'm right type of tone, or like just very, I used the word earlier, abrasive type of delivery, then that comes off poorly to some. And Stephen A. Smith, over, I would say, the past year, 2 years, I remember at one point at first he was really hinting at it. Like, I mean, he talked about how he was thinking about getting into the political world, but he never really thought about it seriously. And he's gradually gotten more into the political world to where he's been very forward of his and very outspoken of his opinions. While I'm somebody that, again, I can come into defense partially of Stephen A. Smith, I would never discredit that or tell him to stop doing that. But as I mentioned, and as I've sort of tried to slowly build this before I get into the main story, if you aren't familiar with what I'm about to talk about, everybody doesn't really subscribe to Stephen A. Smith's delivery. And if you aren't familiar, there's an association called the National Association of Black Journalists. It's the biggest grouping of Black journalists in the world, to where even I haven't had the luxury of going to one of the conventions, but I'm grateful to know people like Suzette Hackney, who was the first Black woman, and if I'm not mistaken, the first Black um, editor-in-chief of the state news. And if she wasn't the first Black person, she was definitely one of the first, and the first Black woman. And she's someone that I can think of who has been to the NABJ conventions, who is someone, I'm sure, Dr. Christina Myers, someone I've also had the pleasure of interviewing. I'm sure someone else who has gone to the National Association of Black Journalists conventions. I used to run a podcast of the state news, All Shades of Chocolate, and my co-hosts, who are great journalists, have I know at least one of them, one of the young ladies, went to the conventions, and so it's very closely attached to me in a way to where when I heard the news that they gave Stephen A. Smith what was called the Thumbs Down Award, I was like, "Oh, what is going on?" And according to the National Association of Black Journalists, they gave Stephen A. Smith the Thumbs Down Award, and it's not a good award. It's in the name. It's a thumbs down. It was I would describe the award as, if the name isn't self-explanatory, as something that is attempting to highlight someone who has brought negative attention or spoken negatively about members of the Black community or prominent members of the Black community. And to pull up the wording from NABJ, they said, and I'm gonna quote it as I pull it up on my computer, but I'll try to pull up the exact quote as I'm speaking. They said that they gave Stephen A. Smith this award because they felt that he spoke pretty poorly about Black women in the political or sports realm. And as I look into the article here, it's right here, thankfully. We're looking here, showing about these type of things. This site quotes them, the NABJ, saying that we're calling people in for conversations about what real accountability looks like, what needs to change, and what these individuals and institutions might be willing to do to signal they are committed to real change. It says here the ESPN host and YouTube personality was singled out for his recurring public pattern of disparaging commentary directed at prominent Black women across politics, sports, and media. NABJ President Aaron Haynes said that if NABJ is going to be serious about defending Black journalists and defending journalism itself, then sometimes we have to say their names. And tonight we did. And NABJ went as far as to make this statement and to show that, in their opinion, they feel is necessary to highlight that Stephen A. Smith and the way he's went about talking about some black women in sports or politics or other media has been a bit harsh. And some of you may be wondering what Stephen A. may have did, and if you're able to do the research to get a more personal opinion of the events that transpired, then please do so. But a sort of overview of what's been going on, and shout out to the people who are patient enough to wait for the more sourcing of specifically what has been going on, because especially as someone who respects the people that are talked about, especially Stephen A. Smith, I'm never going to have the opinions I have without at least referencing what I'm referring to. And especially because I even forgot something Stephen A. Smith did with Serena Williams, because there's a big overarching point to be made, and the going through this is worth it. So that's another one that I had in there. So what should I bring up first? Because one of the main things that Stephen A. Smith was called out for was his comments about Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett is a black woman in the political field who, if people from TikTok may know her for, there was some, I can't believe this white lady said that they was in like a political like jury type of room, conference room, and the white lady was saying like, "Oh, you probably can't hear me or see me over them lashes or something." And so Jasmine Crockett was like, I got a question. Would it be inappropriate if I were to say something like her big butch body, something like big blonde butch body would be inappropriate? And it was like, it's hilarious. I'm butchering the quote a little bit, but Jasmine Crockett is someone who understandably would always defend herself no matter how it would come off, even to people like Donald Trump. And Stephen A. Smith at the time, he felt as though that the way in which Jasmine Crockett would defend herself and talk against Donald Trump would be a bit of street verbiage and rhetoric that should be reserved for the streets. And he's also went as far as to say that he regrets voting for Kamala Harris, as he felt how the Democratic Party went about handling the race and how they went about things after losing was pretty poor. So he regrets voting for Kamala Harris. Let's keep going a bit. He and to be fair, he did issue an apology to Jasmine Crockett, and it's funny because I feel like his apology to Jasmine Crockett is one of the most important things to use when making this overarching point about Stephen A. Smith. He saw how Donald Trump called her and said she had low IQ, which is very ironic because Donald Trump tried to then pull that same card on Stephen A. Smith. And once he saw that, he was like, dang, I see how Trump tried to use what I was saying and tried to use the things about Jasmine Crockett and try to put that on the forefront. I realized my mistake now, and I'm sorry for trying to portray a black woman and adding to portraying her in that light. And I feel like if Stephen A. Smith took that not only with black women, but in the way he kind of speaks about black people, I think he would be a bit better off in sort of navigating these conversations and even handling the criticism. Because one of the main things that people have tried to tell Stephen A. Smith, and at least my personal biggest criticism of Stephen A. Smith, is that it seems as though everybody notices how Stephen A. Smith comes across and comes off sometimes, other than Stephen A. Smith. It seems like Stephen A. is the only one who probably doesn't realize, and maybe he doesn't care, but I want to be someone that gives him a bit more grace as somebody that views him as still a journalist and as an entertainer and as somebody that I just heavily disagree with, instead of somebody that is not for Black people. And I want to give him enough grace as somebody that comes off awfully and just is unaware of it. Because if he's aware of it, then that would unfortunately have to mean that he's very purposeful in the ways in which he talks about Black people, and that he is not for us. And that would conflict with some of his actions in the past. But Stephen A. Smith unfortunately comes off so bad sometimes that it's hard to give him grace, and everyone is not going to do what I'm doing and give him grace. As when a lot of people try to talk about Stephen A. Smith and not only say that he was a bit trying to tone police Jasmine Crockett, there's a bit of a deeper issue here. And I think people like the Joe Budden podcast who even mentioned it goes far back as far as you want to highlight it, but they mentioned the Terrell Owens situation. And just in case of someone like Stephen A. Smith or someone were to ever see this, I speak from a place of criticism, but a place of fairness. And so I don't bring these moments up to try and take away from Stephen A. Smith's Blackness. I bring these moments up to also highlight and to try and talk to Stephen A. and show that this big picture is just how you come off is not good sometimes. Joe Budden brought up the Terrell Owens conversation where Max and Terrell were trying to bring up how Stephen A. Smith comes off. And Max Kellerman was kind of getting it to a point to where T.O. called Stephen A.'s Blackness in question. I'm not going to say the direct quote just in case Stephen A. does say this, because it's a crazy quote. And even though I agree with Max and T.O. in the overarching point, you never say a white person coming off mode. That's crazy to me. But the reason why T.O. said it is kind of understandable. Because in that clip, there were things about certain parts of the Black community that Stephen A. may have been missing, and it seemed as though Stephen A. just didn't understand it. When I'm surprised nobody has brought this up, and I'll take the luxury of bringing this up on my platform, at least brought up in recent time in relation to this, how Stephen A. Smith handled Kyrie Irving. How Stephen A. Smith had been so harsh on Kyrie on, again, I'm someone who got vaccinated. So I'm not even on that type of time. Somebody who made a choice with their own body and their own health and didn't even say nothing wrong, just say, hey, I don't want to make this decision for my own health. Stephen A. Smith was so harsh on him to the point where not only did he have to apologize, but that turned people off of Stephen A. Smith, because he's coming off in a way to where you question if not only if Stephen A. Smith is for us, but you question why Stephen A. Smith goes so hard and is so abrasive and so aggressive on Black people sometimes. But sometimes when it's the Aaron Rodgers of the world, when it's the Michelle Beatles of the world, when it's white people, the abrasiveness is not really as strong. When it was even Trump, it didn't seem as aggressive lashing back out. And even if you want to drop this being a Black or white thing, which I feel you can, I feel that's a very important part of this conversation. That's why the National Association of Black Journalists gave another, at least former, but I feel still current Black journalist thumbs down award. The Blackness is important here. But even if you want to remove that point, when you keep going and adding these things up like, oh, a Black football player felt that your Blackness had to be in question. Another Black man, you attack another Black man for his personal beliefs. You get into it with LeBron James over his son, and regardless of your opinion of the matter, because Stephen A. Smith went on like a 3 to 6 month run talking about that. A Black man and I want to say Black player, but he came to you as a Black father in that moment and expressed to you that the way you're talking about his Black son is a bit rough. You keep going and say, okay, you regret voting for the Black woman. You say that Jasmine Crockett has street verbiage. Like, when you add all these things up, I mentioned it earlier, dog, I forgot Serena Williams had to check Stephen A. on TV because Stephen A. told us Serena Williams shouldn't be dancing and making fun of her ex at the Super Bowl. Like, Stephen A. Smith, sir. Again, the overarching point is like, sir, you come off very aggressive and very abrasive. And especially when it's towards Black women, it comes off in a way to where, why are you so aggressive to your own women in your own community? And to make it even worse, Stephen A. Smith, he hears criticism like, okay, Black people and Black journalists feel like you're not really for us, or we feel as though the way you speak on our women is a bit hard, or all these things. And you know what Stephen A. Smith goes to do? He goes on Fox News to defend and express that this is all just a political thing, that just because he's not liberal like NABJ, or just because he doesn't share the beliefs of NABJ, that this is I forget the word to use. I don't want to misquote him, but he felt that that's the reason why that this is happening. For anybody that isn't aware, because I even had to refresh my mind and do a bit of research, Fox News is Republican. Fox News wasn't really messing with Barack when Barack was running. Fox News is not at least politically for us. So you go on a platform that isn't really recognized as for us to talk about how you for it. Like, it don't look good. It's not a good look. The political beliefs you have are already, the political beliefs Stephen A. Smith have already are not a good look. Listen, I'm not here to be super political, but I'm not fucking Republican. Like that. Like, listen, I'm also not a politician. All politicians kind of, it is what it is. They are kind of iffy. But one side at least pretend like they a bit for us, and the other side does not hide the fact that they're not for us. So you go on a side that is a bit deemed not for us to talk about how it's crazy how they had this criticism of it. Sir, it's like, again, a lot of the people that have this criticism of Stephen A. Smith come from a place of worry and concern. Because even people, I saw Jamel Hill say that she's not concerned if Stephen A. Smith is going to be as helpful to NABJ, or if he's, God forbid, may not bat an eye if NABJ is as successful moving forward. To keep even my words careful. And again, go to Jamel Hill's channel. Again, shout out Jamel Hill, one of the greatest, legend, state news legend, like great legend in everything. Go to her channel to get her exact words. And even she's talked about how she worked at ESPN. Stephen A. Smith at one point helped her out, and it's this weird, uncomfortable conversation because Stephen A. Smith himself can even point to a million examples of how he's helped Black people. But not only does that not negate the ways in which you may have hurt our community or hurt our women, but he also went on Fox News and he gave the example when he goes on Fox News or when he goes on his own channel to talk about this. He says, like, listen, I got a Black mama. Like, he literally used the "I got Black friends" excuse in defense of this. I got a Black mama, I got sisters. Like, I could never be, like, it comes off very disappointing because I even try to be someone who's like, hey, you know what, guys? I'm a Black man, I'm a Black journalist. I can be someone to come to the defense of Stephen A. Smith as much as I can. But when all these things stack up, I even start to look and I'm just like, what is Stephen A. doing? Or what is Stephen A. talking about? And the signs don't really point to the best direction in the right direction. And don't take my words for it, Stephen A. Smith. Don't take any singular person's word for it. When the Black community, because I even reached out to the elders in my life to be like, hey, how do you feel about Stephen A. Smith? And they would express like, because even I don't even feel this, but the older Black people in my life feel like, listen, Stephen A. Smith got that bag. And when you get that bag, you lean a certain way. You start to think certain things, say certain things to get more. And while I don't feel Stephen A. Smith has been bought out, because even I will listen to a Mark Lamont Hill that claims to know Stephen A. Smith for the past 20 years and say, like, he felt this way back then. I just think, unfortunately, like I said a bit earlier, I just think Stephen A. Smith is someone that I disagree with. And unfortunately, the things he believes in don't always look like they support the Black community. And whether it's the Black women of our community or just the Black people, when there are a large group of Black people that don't know how you feel about us or don't understand why you speak about the Black women or the Black people the way that you do, it's a problem. That's a problem. I'm young. I'm 23 years old. From 23 to 50, there are people in this range of Black people that feel like Stephen A. Smith doesn't speak of or care for us in the way that we would want, or the way that liberal, democratic Black people would want. Again, I'll always express my beliefs, and ironically, as my next topic comes up, these conversations are a bit political and are a bit serious, and I'm always going to express my mind, but it's just very disappointing when, especially in the sports world, you hear things that are so disparaging to Black women and women in general, to where it's very troublesome and confusing to see how obsessive some men get about certain topics, and especially political topics in the world. And please let me make sure I'm still recording for this, because just in case if someone like a Stephen A. Smith or anyone of a Black journalist or someone would watch this podcast or to see this, as this episode goes forward, I am going to be less careful with my words and a bit more expressive with my word choice, because the things that transpire as I go through my topic list really pisses me off the more and more I go through it. And we're still gonna be a bit PG-13-ish, because once I get, and we're starting in sports for the theme for this episode so far. We're gonna transition over to music, and we're gonna the topics. I try to always intertwine a certain theme in here, and so far we're staying in sports because listen, Enos Cancer and Royce White. We offer Stephen A. Smith. If you did watch this, if you care about my opinion, I really appreciate you caring about the input. If not, whoever did listen, though, that's my take on that. To stay in the sports realm, but to get on this, Enos Cancer and Royce White. Listen, those two, and just in case if y'all see it, y'all are weird as fuck. Because here's the thing. There's a conversation to be had. For those of you, to give context, for those of you who are unaware, this started with a young lady by the name of, I think it's Sophie Cunningham, a WNBA player who expressed, mind you, matter of fact, even before her, if you aren't aware, if you can't tell, the WNBA expressed that they're open to trans women entering their league and playing in their league. And WNBA player Sophie Cunningham was one of the people that expressed that they weren't a fan of that decision, and we need to protect our girls, and um and not allow things like that in the WNBA. And Enos Cantor and Royce White took it upon themselves to be like, you know what? If y'all allowing trans women, what I gotta do? Do I gotta get snipped? Do I gotta get this? Do I gotta have a wig on? I'm declaring for the WNBA draft. Because if you couldn't allow trans women, you can allow me. Y'all sound dumb as fuck. There's a conversation to be had on whether or not trans women should be allowed in, or trans people should be allowed in cisgender people's sports. It's a conversation to be had whether you agree or disagree. Whenever that conversation is appropriate, for if it's ever appropriate for me to express on here, then that'll, again, I'm not someone to hide my emotions, but I am very careful with the conversations I have, because people's emotions are involved, people's identities are involved, and nobody even asks about my opinion. Nobody specifically cares about my opinion, but I do have an opinion. And so if it ever gets asked on here and we ever talk about it on this platform directly, then that'll be one conversation. What I will say is, it's very ironic when people try to have the rhetoric of protect our girls there are not that many trans people that exist in the world. There are not that many trans athletes that are in the world. It's not going to be that big of a concern, in my opinion, the 0.1% of trans people that want to hoop. like, again, however you feel about it is your opinion. For two grown men, by the way, dog, just to get this out there, I promise I'm not even a gambler. I will bet I'm not a gambler. So again, if for a motherfucker to hear this and be like, oh, bet, I'm not a gambler. If I was, I would put like the house, everything. If Asia Wilson and Enes Kanter or Royce White hooped, I'm putting the house on Asia. Like, confidently. I don't give a fuck if Enes Kanter is 7 feet. Royce White, I don't care. Y'all niggas weren't even good enough to stay in the NBA. Enes Kanter barely can play overseas. Why the fuck y'all making it so much of a problem? And it's not y'all business or concern to be like, you know what? The WNBA allows something. We're not even women. Sophie Cunningham, at least, is a young lady who is expressing something, and she's in the WNBA. I feel everybody could have an opinion and discussion about this as long as it's respectful. But a woman in the WNBA is the main person to be talking about it. Y'all two men over here telling some, oh, no, we're going to enter the WNBA. We're going to identify as trans women. If you cut your shit off and you go about it that far, to make a point, and more power to y'all. A, I'm sure y'all not going to do that. B, just like they even tried to use in their point, like that's not, oh, what's the regulation to be considered trans? That's not all you got to do to be considered trans, which that is, as a general statement, is true. But they're trolling, and they try to say we're not making fun of. They're literally using this to garner negative attention about not only the WNBA, but about trans people. Listen, again, if you know me in real life, you can know my opinion. If you want to ask my opinion, I feel everybody's leagues is just designated for what they was designed and designated for. You can read between the lines, because people try to, even if I'm being as careful with my words, people try to cancel or people get offended because these, again, are people identities. And it really shouldn't, because, again, I'm someone who's being careful with my words, right? But when you start to hear things like respect our girls or it's all so much bullshit when you hear that type of rhetoric. But in the NBA, you have people like Karl Malone who still get acknowledged, who impregnated a 13-year-old girl, a little kid, when they were an adult, when they were in their 20s. I'm 23, very close to my age. And yet people like him still get acknowledged in the sports world. But yet former NBA players, now they're saying protect our girls and trying to get in this when the WNBA allows trans. Where's the consistency? Where was this when women are actually targeted and actually harmed? Where's this conversation when trans people are harmed? I'm someone who also is an education minor and has a background in human sexuality, and trans people literally get killed just for being seen. So if they have the due diligence and confidence and ability, because this is also an ability conversation, ability to even take the risk to showcase themselves out there, to literally risk their lives, to first of all even go through the procedure, but to go out there and participate in the sports that they want to do, then not only should that risk in a way be commended and we should praise that, but trans people don't really have any advantages when they're going into the sport. See, that's the thing, because this isn't a conversation about actual trans people and actual transgender people. This is a conversation, this is all about pettiness. This is an actual conversation about transgender and trans health. do you understand that, again, it's not that many trans people that even exist for this to even be a conversation, but there's so many things a trans person has to go through before they would even get to the point of getting to the league, that there's not going to be a significant skill gap to where as soon as one actual transgender person enters the league, there's going to be an unfair balance from this one person onward. Not only is that not how sports works, because even the greatest of people, you can game plan around the greatest of people, but why do y'all care? And again, Sophie Cunningham is at least a woman. Why the fuck do Enes Kanter Freedom, and Royce White care about making sure, because again, make sure everybody and young ladies are actually protected. But we didn't hear shit about these two individuals until the WNBA said this. So do y'all actually give a fuck about protecting girls, or are y'all just transphobic? This is just some political bullshit to get y'all back in the talking room because Enes Kanter can't hoop. Royce White can't really hoop. And a lot of the women in the WNBA are better hoopers than them, so they feel some type of way. And it's so funny that some men are so targeted or so hurt by the idea of women being better at them in certain things that they're literally begging to be a part of something that is not for them. And the actual league that Enes Kanter was a part of, he couldn't stay in because he wasn't good enough. Royce White, not good enough. So he wanted to go be in the WNBA. What that say about y'all? And it's very crazy because the people who actually are affected by this conversation aren't even the young girls. It's the trans people. Because people in the LGBTQIA plus community, they genuinely just want to be over here, and they get pulled over here so much to where you get the people being like, oh, they're trying to make everything gay. Oh, they're trying to put the gay in the water. Or the water's turning to frogs. The water's turning to frogs. Dog. Like, bro, people be trying to throw out homophobia everywhere. It'd be like, dog. I'm a black person, right? Hopefully that's clear. How would I look as a black person to be like, you know what? Just because I don't look like a certain group of people, just because I don't talk like a certain group of people, just because I don't think like a certain group of people, just because I don't live a certain lifestyle of people, I'm going to shun them and make sure that they don't deserve rights, privileges, sports, anything. There's a word for that starts with an R, or discrimination. That there should be ringing a bell. There should be some dog whistles, some bells here at those things. Like, that sounds like what the oppressors did to us as black people. Why would I want to oppress anybody else? Because that's what Enes Kanter and Royce White does in their speech. Because the trans people in the LGBTQIA plus community, the people that want to just mind their business and don't really care about straight people, y'all force them to come and be in conversations like this because y'all won't leave them alone. Notice how people always try to say that they don't like something, but instead of ignoring it, they constantly talk about it. They bring attention to it. They say, like, it makes zero sense. And please don't let people fool you. They don't really give a fuck about whether trans people are not. They don't care. They just want to be petty. They want to get attention. And they have such a disdain for people that don't do shit like them that they want to force people to live the life that they live. That's the same thing, and I'm Christian. That's the same thing some religious people do. It's the same thing in some Christians. Matter of fact, some things a lot of Christians do. Same thing some religious people do. You can't, and it's not okay to force people to live a lifestyle you live just because you want them to live it, just because you feel it's okay. Newsflash, and look, keep looking at the camera. Look, we almost we get into an hour because look at me when I say this. Everybody isn't like you. Everybody doesn't want to live the lifestyle you live, and that's okay. People are different. People are gay. People been gay. Transgenders and people who want to be transgender, this has been a thing. If you don't like something, just leave it alone. Just don't talk about it. Don't worry about it. Enes Kanter and Enes Kanter or Royce White can't hold none of the shoes that of the WNBA players. They clearly can't be in the NBA. They're not good enough to be there. So they want to try and pick on the WNBA. They're probably not even good to be in there. And I really hope they don't acknowledge them and draft them. Again, I would love to see Asia Wilson. Bro, promise Asia Wilson, the young lady, the rookie on the Minnesota Lynx, bro. Bro, don't let, bro, when Juju come in the league, when Flage John, like, bro, I will go off, and I don't even watch the WBA like that, but I'm cultured enough to know that they can hoop, and they will smoke Enes Kanter Royce. Like, are y'all crazy? The literal only benefits they got, ironically, in this conversation is the male attributes of them being 7 feet big. Asia will, promise. They can't sniff the NBA, and they probably barely hold down the WNBA, if at all. That's as most energy I'm giving to that bullshit, because now we're in the, just in case if important people still watching, if you're still watching, I appreciate it with me cussing, because we getting into the bullshit hour moment of the podcast. So stay in sports. Again, shout out Brian. It felt like a week straight, 2 weeks. He kept telling me this shit about Julian Newman and his family. And I'm like, dog, I promise I do not want to hear more bullshit about these niggas. It got to the point to where he even stopped. I didn't say it to him, but I'm saying like, dog, or I didn't say like, hey, dog, stop sending me shit. I said like, dog, I'm tired of these motherfuckers constantly in the news for idiocy, degeneracy, what's another word? Stupidity, nasty, trifling. Like, this is insane. Those of you who may not be familiar, Julian Newman is not only a shitty basketball player who's like 5'6", my opinion, but again, if anybody know me, shout out Tez. Me and him talked about Julian Newman way before that. Like, he's someone who tried to play professional basketball, but he was 5'6". That's important because the average height in the NBA is not only like 6'10", but his father tried to market him and his sister also. I didn't even know he had a sister until this shit that I'm talking about. Tried to market them as basketball prodigies. Julian Newman would be on viral videos, dribbling the ball, doing all these dribble moves. He was pretty short, and he didn't end up panning out to being worth shit. The nigga had college games where he was putting up 3 points, 3 points, 0 points, 0 points, 3 points. Like, he sucked. So after when you got y'all start to get why I speak so aggressively about these niggas and this family in particular, because for some reason they be on, this is about to sound crazy, for some reason they be on the Ball family nuts so bad to where, for some reason, dog, this nigga Julian Newman said, and I hope he was trolling, I hope he was joking, he told some bro, LaMelo owed me like $13 from back in the day, and I guess due to a little bit of bread, and they felt like the Ball family took their model of like branding their kids and ran with it, took their fame, and so they don't like the Ball family because of that. Mind you, there's let's say that's true. I don't believe it's true. The Ball family, I heard about them way before, but let's say that's true. You know the difference? The Ball kids can actually hoop. 2 of them actually got to the league, and one of them actually still, LiAngelo still can hoop. LiAngelo still, dog, way still too. But all 3 of them can hoop. 2 of them made it to the league, and LaMelo, the Timberwolves about to be nice this year. But it's not even, you would think we're talking about basketball. So after the Newman family failed to get famous in basketball, for some random reason, they get back in the algorithm. Take a wild guess. Julian Newman's younger sister's adult business, adult videos got leaked. And I can't believe the next thing, because I have an older sister. I can't even imagine saying this type of stuff to my older sister. For his younger sister, ever since it's been leaked, Julian Newman, the older brother, and the dad have been gone on to market the fact that the young lady's adult tape was leaked, to the point where Julian Newman has said things like, oh, bro, when she was 18, I told her to start OnlyFans at 8, and as soon as she turned 18, like, listen, like, he's said things, because hold on, like, he's went as far as to say, you know what? Like, I thought she was gonna be bigger than Kim K when this sex tape released. Like, you know what? Because I was trying to, it's so much bullshit. I was go give him just the umpteenth bit of grace to go off the top of my head. This shit is so disgusting. Their literal father of the Newman family, they asked in like a lie detector test, did the dad watch the sex tape? And the lie detector test showed that he did watch the sex tape. And he went as far as to start giggling and laughing, like, hey, I just wanted to. This family is very sick and very weird. If you want to do sex work, that's your business. To tell your younger sister, like, oh, you should have been started on OnlyFans, that's crazy. I ain't really watch it. And again, they went on this weird ass nigga too. They went on No Jumper Adam 22's platform. And Adam thought, like, you know what? Maybe it's just some like she not really doing nothing like too crazy. Why Newman and the sister both correct him? Like, no, like, this is really crazy. Like, these motherfuckers is so weird, bro. Hold on, dog. Where's the I'm going to the bookmarks now because it's gotten to a point where um this family is so sick to where, oh, and shout out the 520 podcast, because he tried to go off on Behan, someone from the 520 podcast, and say like, yo, F y'all trying to talk about my sister and it's really this, and F y'all. Bro, they went off on him and was like, listen, I ain't worrying about you, your sister, nothing of the sorts, dude. Like, we don't care. And it's very insane because it gets to a point where motherfuckers will do anything for clout. It's really disgusting. Here I got in front of me and again I want to go out the fucking bookmarks to get out this shit for what I just read. First of all, they was on a stream with Neon, whole other thing, and in the same lie detector test, this nigga asking him, Julian Newman, if he self pleasured himself to the video while the dad sitting there laughing. The dad told some, cause Neon was with Jaden Newman and Zach Lamine's sister Cameron Levine, and the dad told him the threesome they've been waiting for. Like this family again. I can't. I try to take notes for y'all. I'm disgusted. This family is fucking disgusting. Julian Newman can't fucking hoop. We don't give a fuck about Jaden. I promise this. I didn't remember this nigga had a sister. This is very disgusting. Again, if a young lady or anybody want to do sex work, that's their business. It should remain their business. And mind you, this conversation, there's a lot of disgusting parts of this conversation because, mind you, he goes out of his way to admit that he feels that his sister should have started OnlyFans at 18, the moment she turned 18. And that's disgusting in its own right. His defense, because see, people not only be terrible debaters, but just bad people and bad at defending themselves. But this nigga went to try and say like, yo, y'all tried to take it out of context. I said it because like people like Bad Baby or people like that, they was when they was turning, as soon as they was turning 18, they was getting millions and millions of dollars. I just wanted my sister to get on. Even in the, I guess, genuineness in that of trying to get his sister. That literally admits to purposely playing into the sick individuals that wait for young ladies the moment they turn 18 because they're like, oh, they're legal now. That would mean that not only those weird ass motherfuckers are disgusting, but that would mean y'all are trying to enable those same, or at least he was trying to get her to enable those same motherfuckers purposely. Enable weird people to be predators to his little sister. And he's not even thinking about that, or he's weird as fuck. The weird ass old ass daddy is probably the weird motherfuckers that, let me not even put that on him, but he seems, from what this nigga saying, the threesome we've been waiting for, he's talking about his daughter, saying the threesome they've been waiting for. in front of his kids telling some nigga the brother beat off to the fucking sister sex tape. The daddy is sitting there talking about his daughter. This family is disgusting. That's all I gotta say. Segment over. Man. Motherfucker's weird, bro. And as we get on, I'm gonna get, matter of fact, for the sake of us as a community of the the WOYM What's on Your Mind community, I'm gonna get all the weird shit out the way, folks, because it is funny shit. It is funny shit I got written down. But to get this last weird shit out the way, bro, I feel like it's starting to be it's starting to become a segment and trend on this podcast. We have more AI and fucking music. Yay, AI. Yay, AI and music. So, first of all, the nigga from Shoreline Mafia, and I hate that he has to attach this. He's attached himself to this because Shoreline Mafia is fire as hell. But Flex and Felix, whatever that nigga name is, he don't even be. I think that is his name, but he don't even deserve to get called no cool shit at the moment. He admitted after people with common sense realize, and people who just broke down his shit realized that he used AI to create the song. He finally admitted he used AI to create the song, and he claimed he didn't care. So then, after that, Tyga, out of all people, random as hell, he drops a whole album of AI and expressed that he don't care about the backlash. Again, before I get to the funny part of this, it's so sad that we're losing so much authenticity that Tyga a hitmaker. Tyga not even the most lyrical, but Tyga can make a like Tyga can make a hit if he tried. Niggas don't even want to try no more. Again, the Felix nigga, Shoreline Mafia, bro. If you listen to Shoreline Mafia and then listen to the AI, him doing AI, you'll be like, why did you do this? Like, they have ability, at bare minimum, they have ability to make music and make a song. It's not only just laziness, but just a lack of authenticity. Because for a nigga to go out, for niggas to go out their way and say they don't care about something that they know they're gonna get trashed about, take them for their word, but that shows that they don't care about being received well. They don't care about how people feel about them, and they don't care if people look at them crazy. If that's the path you want to go down for yourself, go ahead. But it was so bad. And Pitchfork ain't even the most like, oh my God, I fuck with Pitchfork. Oh my God, look at them as a source. This Pitchfork be on some bullshit too sometimes. Them niggas gave Tyga, they gave that motherfucking album a 0. They gave that shit a 0 and said that this album's existence literally made the world worse. Like, dog, again, stay hydrated. That shit funny as hell. And that's sad. That's sad as fuck. Man. Shout out to ASMR community if that ever picks up on the mic. I got all the like most of the annoying shit out the way. The next couple of this shit is annoying, but I'm at least take a laugh out of it. Anybody in the What's on Your Mind community, anybody that takes the time to watch this podcast, can we all take a minute and fucking laugh at Pooh Shiesty dumbass? And listen, hey, Lord, protect me from dangerous seen and unseen. I ain't gang affiliated. Keep that nigga in jail. Keep niggas like that away from me. Cause listen, the reason why I'm laughing at this goofy ass nigga, because it's so frustrating when people that are talented do dumb shit. This nigga Pooh Shiesty got chance after chance out of jail. Dumbass nigga, I'm going through it fast. I'm sure I've talked about this already on my platform, but just in case I haven't, pretty sure I have. But if you aren't aware, just in case I haven't talked about it, Pooh Shiesty took it upon himself very stupidly. You know what? How am I going to get out of my contract? I'm going to hold my contract owner up at gunpoint. While he doesn't know this, cops are there. So now he's in jail, and he's still signed under Gucci Mane. So you know what Gucci Mane did? Very petty. And as a label owner, Pooh Shiesty did an album's worth of music while he was out. That nigga dropped a Pooh Shiesty album on his dumb ass. And apparently it's some fire on there. I will never condone it, and I'm not gonna listen to it because again, it's already eerie enough that a nigga that's rapping about that type of shit is actually telling the truth or living his raps. But that's one thing. The nigga was dumb enough to rap about allegedly robbing Gucci Mane on the album after he did it. Niggas like that, again, we're giving them chance after chance. At this point, stay your ass and keep that motherfucker locked up. And I hate saying that about another black man. I would love to listen to Pusha FDO. Bro, that nigga came out and said, go put your favorite bullet on your face. He came out saying shit like that the day, like, after he got, like, that nigga didn't change. He didn't change shit about his personality. The people around him failed him. It's very sad. Again, if I think about it from that point, it's not funny at all. But it's just very funny that you did all that and now your ass in jail and the nigga still put out your music. He's still eating off your name. To the bank, doing this to the bank while you sitting in prison. It's very sad. It's not even funny. It's very sad. And something else that's very sad and very funny as well. Hey, Drake stands. Hi. Y'all miss me? Y'all favorite fucking rapper is making a fool of himself again. And again, I ain't even gonna talk about the golf girl shit. It is what it is. That's his prerogative. His prerogative. This nigga literally got on camera and said, listen, the pen isn't dry. The pen isn't dry. Wait for them to reply. And then growl. Drake stands. And I talk to y'all directly because y'all always get y'all pennies in a bunch when I talk about him, especially on Twitter. Who's scared? Like, in terms of the lyrical nigga, who's scared of him? Like, just genuinely asking. Because he's been barking up the Jay-Z tree. I'm not even going to do what Joe Budden did because Joe Budden at a point now where he's trying to bait Drake. Like, go ahead, talk about Jay-Z. No, dog, I'm not going to do that to you. I didn't think there was ever a universe where Drake could beat Jay-Z in any type of rap anything, especially rap battle. But especially after everything that's happened after the Kendrick shit, the lawsuit, he was just barking with it. Again, this should be obvious to people, especially if you're into battle rap or just know about Jay-Z and Drake. But shout out Screwface John because he said it verbatim. Like, and where that DJ Akadiddy, which he go get a segment too. Listen, I might clip his segment just to directly talk to that weird nigga, especially as a black journalist. But he and Screw talked about how Academic's weird ass said, "Oh, Drake can never win because Jay-Z's gonna beat him with blackness and talk about blackness, and that's how he's gonna win. Talk about black culture." Okay, and duh. And Screw not only said, well, duh, but he also said, like, when Jay-Z bring up the blackface, the barking at a white girl, the like the on stage with the certified lover boy certified, like, there's too much material where Drake probably shouldn't be battling anybody, but Drake is at least a talented rapper. So Drake can put up a fight. And honestly, very ironically, I'm a big Jay-Z fan. If it's anybody that got enough dirt for Drake to rap battle, it's Jay-Z. It's anybody that people don't like enough, that some people probably don't like. One of the only people that probably some people dislike more than Drake, it's Jay-Z. Drake and Jay-Z got enough dirt in their name. Hey, I'm a huge fan of battle rap. I would call it how I see it. I would love to see the battle. But it's just going to be another body bag. I'm not sipping the Kool-Aid no more, dog. Drake gonna have to show me to win another rap battle. Even if it's because Joe Budden and them was like, oh, well, what if it's Ross? Nigga, give me Ross. I'm sorry. Because I feel Drake a better rapper than Ross. But in a battle, the better rapper don't always win the battle. The better rapper isn't always the better battler. And that's a very important thing if you're not aware of battle rap or aware of battling. Just because somebody is the more technical, skilled person or has more ability, that don't always mean they're the funnier person. That don't always mean they're better assholes. So at the end of the day, battling is really roasted. And if you can put your ability in it, then you're like technically roast, like at technical level, Eminem type of roasting. But if you're just a funnier person or if you're just better at roasting, all that better rap shit, it don't need complexity to call a nigga a bitch. Like, it don't need complexity to say a nigga suck. It don't take complexity to be like, hey, Drake, Jay-Z could literally get on the track and say, this the nigga that did blackface. All right, let me talk to him. Battle over. I promise. Again, I'm even thinking if I'm battling Drake, All Jay-Z got to do, because Pusha T, I said when Drake battled Push, like the moment Pusha T had the blackface as the cover art, the battle was over. All Jay-Z got to do is use that same cover and have an arrow pointing to it saying, this is not AI. Or have like a collage of that picture and we was on stage kissing the 13-year-old and all that shit put in a collage. This is not AI. Have that as the cover art, battle over. Out of there. Ether. And real quick, because I'm clipping this for sure. Listen. Since I mentioned his name. Academics weird ass. DJ Akadiddy. For those of you who aren't aware, I don't like this nigga for a lot of reasons. One of the main reasons is because he sexualized the little boy and he can't stream on Twitch no more because of it. So now that we got that out the way real quick, I'm never going to let that shit go. Now that we got that out the way, academics. So talk to you directly. You are nowhere near a journalist, nowhere near journalism, and you of all people should not talk about and criticize people that say they're not doing real journalism or hip-hop journalism just because they're not talking about the shit you want to talk about, barking up the tree you barking up on. And newsflash, who the fuck want to pick a fight with Jay-Z? You on your own, or all the weird-ass motherfuckers who want to do that shit, handle your battle, handle your L, because you're going to get embarrassed. Because, again, Jay-Z and them don't do nothing to nobody, but y'all love talking about them so much because y'all crybaby of a favorite rapper took an L in a rap battle that y'all love talking about him so much. Y'all love talking about Jay-Z so much. Just like, shout out Rob Markman. It's funny people talk about how real journalism don't exist, or y'all try to make Drake a brand or eat off Drake, when this nigga has talked about Jay-Z damn near since Super Bowl. Since Kendrick was chosen at the Super Bowl, these niggas and academics and Akadiddy weird ass has been riding dick so much that he forget that there's a difference between what he do and what actual journalists do. What actual journalists do is actual studying, actual reporting, actually getting to the source. Academics ride dick. And that's what academics do. Academics is a weird ass nigga who sexualizes a little boy who don't speak about black women well. Notice again, theme of it again. If you don't talk about black women well, you kind of hits a nerve. As a black man, don't talk about black women well. Then put his hands and been aggressive with black women. Sexualize a little boy. Profited on black death. This nigga is weird as fuck, and it's crazy that people like him are considered the top of hip hop journalism. Anything journalism. As an actual black journalist, he is the farthest thing from what a journalist will ever actually be. Not only just from the very basic baseline of the shit he say is not fact checked, just from the very basic baseline of he's paid off. He's literally admitted that he's been paid off by Little Baby's label and his people to not talk bad about Lil Baby. So just from objectivity standards, he's not objective. But you don't talk to sources. You don't get both sides. You don't objectively report. You've been riding Drake dick so much and you just met him. He just met Drake in person. That nigga wear an OVO chain talking about journalism. Fuck out of here. Nowhere near journalism academics. You're lucky that people love provocateurs and love people that just talk shit, because you need to be nowhere near journalism. You be nowhere near hip hop if people didn't look at you like a clown, and if there weren't other clowns that do the shit you do. Trap Laura Ross is not fucking journalism. DJ Academics is not fucking journalism. Can't believe this. Again, I miss y'all. Y'all can tell I miss Pod because these niggas give me shit. People like Academics make my job easy to do because they give me shit to pod about and unfortunately people like him adjacently make people like me look bad because some male podcasters talk out their ass. Even people I'm a big Joe Budden fan. Me being a Joe Budden fan is gonna turn off to some people, or just me being a male podcaster is gonna turn me off to some people. The main difference between me and people for sure, like people like Academics, because even people on the Joe Budden podcast don't talk about and respond to Academics the way they should. And shout out Flip, he said it, because niggas be scared and Academics stay on people's head, and Academics is a liar, and Academics make up shit, and he's cool with people who call themselves Grand Wizard from the KKK, which is crazy. I've followed that page and never, until people pointed that out, I never realized that was what he was saying. And these weird ass niggas lie on people so much and make up stories and say very vile and evil shit to where people sometimes are hesitant to talk bad on those type of people. But hey, newsflash, whether I have 10, 100, 1,000 followers, this platform will always be made to not only defend Black women, defend Blackness, defend journalism, defend hip hop, but defend Black culture. And academics clearly does not understand not only Black American culture, but Black culture. Fuck out of here, DJ. I can fucking them. But as we keep going, listen. I think that was yep, down the list. Now that's all. Now we can have some real fun because now that all the bullshit is out the way on my fucking list. Listen, if it wasn't so much other shit going on, I would title this episode again because shout out to the people who listened to the episode of Why is Ray J Fighting? Why the fuck is Ray J fighting again? Why the fuck can I say out of my own existence that Ray J and Orlando Brown got into a fight? For those of you who may not be aware, Ray J, Orlando Brown boxed. That's it. I don't got nothing to say else about that shit. First of all, I thought these were three separate things. Clarissa Shields fought. There was a Baddies card, a Zeus card, and Orlando Brown and Ray J fought. God, that was all three. All of that was one event. All of that was allegedly at a one event. I'm not even gonna do the whole Clarissa Shields shouldn't be attached to those people type of thing, those type of cards. Motherfuckers is scared of Clarissa Shields. If people want to actually fight Clarissa Shields, fight her. People want to set up those fights, set up the fights. I would love to see Alicia Baumgart versus Clarissa Shields. I would love to see Clarissa Shields fight competition. But if she don't got competition in front of her, it's not her fault. But when Ray J and Orlando Brown on your undercard, dog, I mean, shit, people are going to have something to say. And it's very, niggas be liars so much. Ray J said he was going to die a while ago. And yet that nigga is in boxing rings fighting Super Hot Fire and Orlando Brown. Ray J, dog. Ray J, for better or for worse, always know how to have his name in something, bro. And with that, that's, again, I don't know how much commentary I can add to that. Definitely got to get brought up, especially for the continuity of my titles, because shit, if I didn't have to start the show with the shit I started with, dog, Ray J and Orlando Brown, because I forgot it was happening. I go on my timeline, them niggas falling. Please please pull up the fight for yourselves, dog. Twitter, it's out there. There wasn't no winner. Whoever the winner was us as fans, me as a podcaster, and them two, honestly. Them niggas probably got bread doing that shit. According to Ish from the Joe Budden podcast, he got an insider. Them niggas made bread for that bullshit they put out. That shit. At the end of the day, them niggas doing their main thing, being entertainers and shit. They succeeding, I guess. Shit. Y'all, again, if there wasn't so much other bullshit that has been going on, just a lot of other stuff that's been going on in the world of pop culture, I guess. I finally saw Spider-Man Brand New Day. And not even just that, I promise, because again, podcasters do get on this mic and lie. Y'all go think, people who don't know me in real life go think I'm lying. People who know me in real life, unfortunately, know that I'm telling the truth. Brand New Day is what it took for me to finally see Spider-Man. Like, the franchise. My family didn't really grow up watching superhero movies like that. I'm not saying I didn't watch none. I watched we watched Civil War. In terms of what I remember my parents making sure they showed me. I saw Civil War, Black Panther, Batman vs. Superman. And that genuinely might be it in terms of superhero movies my parents took me to saw. Mind you, some of those are like years. So think of the years. Let me try to go in order. First would probably be Batman vs. Superman, because I'm thinking of it in theaters. I think we did go see that in theaters. Batman vs. Superman, Civil War. Matter of fact, Black Panther, then Civil War. Because I think that's how the order of it is. Either way, the point, for sure. You notice how I'm not saying Spider-Man. Didn't see none of the Tom Holland movies. Barely remember the I say didn't see. Since they're so old, I give the grace and say don't remember the old Spider-Man movies. And what's so ironic, usually I do this for the bit to make sure I'm still recording. What's so funny, and I'm glad I'm wearing a lavalier mic, y'all can still hear me speaking. From what y'all about to see, now I can actually have this, and I've always enjoyed this just because it's been part of my childhood. But bro, I had an old ass unique Spider-Man. Look at this Spidey. If you can tell, is in good condition. This Spider-Man toy is genuinely, I'm 23 years old. This is genuinely almost 23 years old. Like, and if you could tell, I'm trying to show it as close as I can to the camera. Like, it's old, but it's pretty. Like, it's pretty brand new. Like, this is pretty brand new. Shout out my mom, because if it wouldn't be for her, people like my mom, I kept this up. I've had this in my own possession ever since I went to college. So that's for the past, 4 or 5 years. But before that, it was kept up for people like my parents and my mom. And if it wasn't for people like her, I would not. This wouldn't be in as good as condition as it is. Because I'm even impressed I've kept it up for the past few years. Because I went from dorms, apartments, and it's still pretty good. And I've had that too when people fucking phone me. Barely watched Spider-Man, didn't really watch the cartoons. So I took it upon myself to watch from Tobey's Spider-Man all the way to Tom Holland's. And bro, cinema. And now what I'm not gonna do is review all the ones up until Tom Holland, because y'all probably looking at me like, nigga, you're just watching Spider-Man. Duh, Spider-Man is good. But what I am gonna say, I love all the Spider-Man. And the Andrew Garfield hate is very forced. Bro. And shout out Miles. Bro, the writing of Spider-Man is so cold. And I don't understand. Andrew Garfield is my favorite Spider-Man. Shout out Desmond. He told me when I watched, like, listen, you go watch it and you go, dog, incredible. The writing of Spider-Man is so good. This nigga go through so much trauma. And now that I did know, but to see it for real and watch it is crazy. We got Tobey, who he was a nerd. Nobody really cared about him. And then when he finally started getting some power, he started feeling himself. He like, oh, he having the Venom around him. He got the girls over him. He's not caring about MJ. And his cockiness got him to miss the point of being Spider-Man. And the Venom developed beautiful. I finally got to understood that Eddie Brock scene when he's sitting in the church. I'm like, oh, that's where that come from. And he Venom. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Bro, it's so crazy. Tobey and his MJ, he almost lost his MJ because of cockiness. I'm watching, so for reference, I'm watching all 3 Tobey Spider-Man movies, and then I watch Andrew Garfield's first one. And the Uncle Ben, Auntie May tropes are already amazing throughout each Spider-Man, in my opinion, especially Tom's. Tom's writing, I really love how Tom Holland's Spider-Man as well, because his writing, I'm going to get to Tom in a few seconds. He's going to, trust me, he's going to take the majority of the praise, because his story, especially Brand New Day, such great writing. But I want to highlight each one's diversity, because it specifically highlights Tom's for people who aren't aware, because even people like my dad, I said, like, I didn't really grow up watching a lot of them. He expressed, he saw some of them and more than he expected, but even he was impressed by Brand New Day a lot. And it goes to show how great this writing is, because I'm sitting there, mind you, shout out Wanda. My girlfriend trolling me throughout the whole thing, because she's also one of the people like, I can't believe you've never seen Spider-Man. So I'm watching the movies and I'm like, wait a minute, babe, this has all been really cool, but like, I thought one of the Spider-Mans like lost his girl. Like, I thought one of the girls died, and like none of them has died yet. I thought, like, what people was talking about? She just smiled, bro. She just laughed, bro. That girl, duh. It got me, bro. That got me emotional, because that was my first time seeing it. I'm like, bro, she actually, duh. So then, mind you, I'm learning. Oh my god, this writing is so good. Then I'm going through Tom Holland's, and I get to the one where all 3 of the Spider-Man are in it. And I'm like, okay, this is a pretty fan service. Like, this is cool, but it's still really good. And one of the biggest praises I've heard about Tom Holland's Spider-Man that I agree with is that he's the most genuine, nicest, sweetest Peter. And in my opinion, that is his biggest flaw. And it's not, I don't dislike it about him, but my girlfriend, she look at me, she not annoyed, but she be like, oh my God, I poke this out about Tom Holland so much. I look at it as a praise, but I do point out it's such a big flaw. He's very naive. And his niceness leads him to be so naive to where this nigga literally thought he could make the original Green Goblin a good guy. And again, whether Doctor Strange tried to tell him, like, bro, it's not worth it. And you know what, Tom? He achieved what he was trying to do. Doc Ock good, Green Goblin, he achieved everything. Bro, mind you, with each Uncle Ben, the trope around Spider-Man is they lose their Uncle Ben or they lose the closest people around them. Tom, they introduce him without an Uncle Ben. His Uncle Ben dies off screen and he just has an Aunt May. And throughout the movie, Doctor Strange keep telling him, like, this is a bad idea, Peter. This is a bad idea. They're villains. Their destiny, their fate in a whole other timeline is to die. They've killed people. Why are you trying to redeem them? They're dead. And he's so sweet. He's like, no, I'm a hero. Anybody could be redeemed. It's actually pretty Christian of him to seek out forgiveness so much for them to be like, no, nobody's above forgiveness. Nigga, Green Goblin was listening to everything Peter telling him, like, I'm going like, bro. And it's so crazy to see how each one lost their Uncle Ben, and for Tom to lose. Spoilers if you haven't seen any of Tom Holland's Spider-Man movies. For him to lose his Aunt May in a way in which it literally was not supposed to happen, but since he's Spider-Man, destiny just had to find a way throughout a whole nother timeline to lose the most important figure of him in his life in Aunt May through the same motherfucker that killed the original Spider-Man, Aunt May and Uncle Ben, to where he kills Aunt May. And it's so funny. Tom looking at Toby and Andrew like, y'all don't know my pain. Aunt May told me, and they're both looking at him like, use your goodness for good. Use this pain for good. Make sure you always like. And he looking at him like, how y'all know that? So again, for the writing from the Aunt May perspective to be fire, from the trauma perspective to be fire, but one Spider-Man, Toby almost loses his MJ but keeps her. Andrew's, he doesn't have an MJ. He has Gwen Stacy and she dies. Tom literally, he has the people in his life literally forget him. And I'm not going to try to spoil all of Brand New Day, but the writing in this movie is so phenomenal for Tom to where they play on his emotions so much to where people have finally been wondering, like, okay, when is Tom going to be depressed? When is his Spider-Man going to have his moments and he's going to be really sad? And it showed throughout this movie to where he's very alone. And the scene in which, because every Spider-Man has their big traumatic moment in their life. And even though Peter's was losing his Aunt May, that was through another Spider-Man's villain. Bro, when Jean Grey, and I'm not even really hip to X-Men either, so I'm like, oh my God, this X-Men character, that's crazy. When she took control of Zendaya and hugged Tom, and she like, feel good, don't it? You think this her? Go ahead, hug her. Feel how good she. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. To showcase throughout the movie that Peter's biggest consequence was his naivety, was his niceness, was his pure heart, to show that no matter what, he's gonna suffer. And that kind of sucks, but it shows that no matter how much he's suffering, his heart has stayed pure throughout it. If I was Jean Grey, though, listen, the writing in this movie is so good. Throughout it, we're trying to see, like, what is this message? What is the message they saying? And I'm like kind of spoiling it without spoiling it too much, just in case if there's somebody watching it that still hasn't seen it. Because you get this message throughout the movie that Jean Grey looking at like, wait, why is this message? What does this got to do with my sister? What does this got to do with my sister? And then she found out that was the last thing the sister saw before. Oh, Lord, that is correct. Before the sister, she looked up at the vent and was like, oh, that's what that meant? Nigga, that's crazy. Brand New Day was a really phenomenal movie. Hot take, it wasn't enough for me to say Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man. Again, I personally feel Andrew Garfield is the best Spider-Man. He's my favorite. But then, like, Tom, he's up there. I think each Spider-Man is really good. I think Brand New Day, this is also a hot take I've seen to see. People have felt Tom was the best Spider-Man since his first movie. Some people feel Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man. I feel Brand New Day, especially since I've just watched most of them throughout from start to finish. Brand New Day is the first movie for me that has entered Tom Holland in this conversation of best Spider-Man. And for me, what's missing for Tom to be the best Spider-Man, because before I watched Brand New Day, as I was watching Tom's Spider-Man and seeing Homecoming, and then as I'm getting through Endgame, I'm like, I can get past the fan service because it's still a really good movie, and the fan service, especially recently watching the Toby and Andrew, and then seeing the one with all three of them in it. I think that's No Way Home. I think that's the one. Um, it shows watching the first two Spider-Man make seeing Peter's naivety and niceness hit more, and showcases why Peter is the way he is, why Tom Holland's Peter is the way he is. But at first, what was missing for me was like, okay, Peter needs to go through like that traumatic moment to where he's just very messed up. We see that in Brand New Day. But for me, Tom Holland's Spider-Man is missing his villain. Like Toby had Green Goblin, Andrew Garfield had Jamie Foxx. Like Tom Holland needs that Jamie Foxx, Electro, whatever his name was. Tom Holland needs his Joker for me. Tom Holland needs his villain that just they don't give a fuck about niceness, killing, all that. They just are they're the complete opposite of Peter. Peter is pure of heart. We need a motherfucker that is pure evil. Shout out Wanda. I'm not gonna steal her theory. She had a theory because I'm telling her this too, and I'm like, bro, that's like Tom needs his villain. She was like, what if Marvel setting it up for Tom Holland's Spider-Man, his main villain, to be Dr. Doom? And I'm like, nigga. Now, what's even crazier, if you notice what I've said about not really growing up on superhero movies, I really don't know why Dr. Doom is that cold. Now, I've heard through the legends, like MF Doom talked about Dr. Doom. Shout out Eric. He always got a Dr. Doom meme. Hell, I got a Dr. Doom home saver in one of my home screens because my iPhone, you can have like multiple. And I've heard the lore of Dr. Doom, or I've heard the allure of Dr. Doom. Like, oh, Dr. Doom, he's crazy. None of the Avengers, you got to get the X-Men, Fantastic Four, you got to get all that. And I've finally seen the trailer, because this was a segue to the trailer, to talk about the trailer. The trailer, he do look cold. Hey, he's stopping the Thor hammer with two fingers. When you do think about the fact they all got to get the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, Avengers, all for one nigga. And then Pedro Pascal in the movie, he's like, and shout out somebody on Twitter, they was like, if somebody named Victor and they're a producer and they use it as a producer tag, they might get sued out the wazoo, but it'll be fired. Then they was like, Victor, did you do this, Victor? Like with a beat drop, that'd be so silly. But Pedro Pascal's in the actor, he's in there as one of the Fantastic Four people, and he's like, did you do this? I don't want to come off like a hater, but I'ma just need Dr. Doom to show me something. And that might be for niggas that know Dr. Doom, they're probably hearing this and they're like, if only this nigga knew. Talking about naivety. But like, we've seen Thanos beat up Hulk. We've seen the hammer get broke and we've seen all these things. What is Dr. Doom gonna do for me to where I'm like, like he not playing. Like when Thanos beat up Hulk, and a lot of people hate the scene for some reason, that for me showed like, oh, Thanos was serious. He just did what to who? He did the Hulk couldn't even like Thanos made himself known. So like, what is Dr. Doom gonna do for me that's unique and like almost scary? Like, what is he gonna do to where I don't get the feeling of like, oh, I've seen this before with Thanos. Death already done with this shit that McCain Dragon Ball Z. Death don't matter. Shit, Robert Downey playing Dr. Doom, and according to my girlfriend, she claims that's canon. Iron Man becoming Dr. Doom and all that shit. I have no idea. Chris Evans back, and he's the Fantastic Four, and they're showing in the special look trailer like, how is this possible? Like, it's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of multiverse shit going on. But if they land this, because Brandon Day was phenomenal. So if they land the X-Men movies, if they land the Avengers movies, Marvel might be back. And now I'm officially in the loop now, all watching all the movies. I still haven't watched all the Marvel movies, and I ain't watching no shows. So the movies is the best I could do with all this shit because it's so much lore. But I wanted to make sure I ended this podcast off on a brighter note because it was a lot, and I do mean a lot of bullshit to get through. But I really appreciate you guys for staying with me, for for getting through this episode. And my mic's still on at the moment, so we hopefully, as long as I land this, we'll finish the episode without no problems. Let me make sure I'm still recording. Yep. All right. So let me just get this outro out the way because I want to get a few more quick fire topics out the way because let me see. I'll just it was only really the and then it was those two things. I'm a bit late on this one, but shout out to Double XL Freshman. I feel this was actually the best list since like 2020, but the production was ass. Like it really diluted their lyrics. And it's funny, it's crazy because DJ Drama one of them. Like DJ Drama a legend, but the production really wasn't all that, and people was calling them for a while. But I really like Chris Patrick, Belly Gang Cushington. I don't even know who he is, but his performance, I didn't know who he was before this, but his performance on the verses and ciphers was cool. This was a very cool cipher. And I feel that's the biggest problem people had is that it was just very average. And I do agree this is very average, but yeah, the average is better than ass. And even though the production from the XXL was average, Chris Patrick's very fire. Even though there was only one person who, if I didn't know nobody from the list, would have led me to want to listen to their music, and that's Slayer. Listen, I didn't know Playboy Cardi when he say like the song Slayer, like I'm a rock star, rock the joint Slayer. Like when you talk about all that type of stuff in Slayer, like I've seen the name, I've seen the spelling. I thought this was like a group or like a band or like a clothing line. This like that nigga fire. That nigga walking the felt like team or I was about to felt like team Ubi. Like that nigga was going, bro. Niggas hating on Slayer on his lyrics wasn't really all that. Again, I can appreciate J. Cole, Eminem, Kendrick Lamar. I still appreciate Slayer. Everything don't gotta be lyrical, miracle. When I was the I could bottle up alcohol. And I feel like guys, like it don't gotta be. And Eminem's my favorite rapper. It don't. I'm a big Kendrick fan. I'm a big Jay-Z fan. Niggas like Slayer are still fire. Like, bro. That nigga said, I feel like the one constant variable. What he said? He said, I feel like the one constant variable. Why you acting like you are not variable? Like, that nigga was going. I feel like the one constant variable. Why he acting like he's not variable? That's fire out. Niggas was saying that was bad. That nigga Slayer fired me. So, that's shout out XXL. And then I'll end it off by saying, listen, ever since SummerSlam, and this, I was going to make this a whole segment, and it is still a segment, but like a longer one. But as I'm recording this, the CM Punk Kevin Owens match for the title is tonight. I thought they was doing that Sunday's night main event, but they're in Canada tonight, so I'm gonna wait to have like a segment after like next episode, so I can have some and a topic already pre-planned for next episode because I'm gonna have my reaction to that title match because I'm so happy Kevin Owens has been back, and ever since SummerSlam, the WWE has actually been putting out a good product. That's actually been good again. And it really shows like when a good product is put on TV, fans actually like it. That's all I'll say with that. The WWE has been really good since SummerSlam. If you're a fan of wrestling, but you kind of fell out of it, go watch 2026 SummerSlam if you can find it. And then ever since, wrestling's been pretty good. And I'm really grateful for you guys giving me this platform. I'm so grateful for you guys giving me the opportunity to talk to you guys, give my thoughts, ramble, rant to you guys, whatever. And don't be afraid to talk to me about what's on your mind. Thank y'all. I'm going to try to get this episode up to y'all as soon as possible. And I really appreciate y'all for the time y'all give me. And stay blessed. And I'll see y'all next episode. Peace out, y'all. Again, shout out Jiu-Jitsu guys. Let me, Mike's still on. Peep the shirt. Shout out Jiu-Jitsu guys and peace out, y'all.